So the next Vault Hunter that we're going to talk about is Amon. We're going to break down the abilities, and we're going to also talk about the skill trees associated with his abilities. So Amon, he's a Forge Knight Vault Hunter, and his trait is going to be Forge Skill. So Amon gains a Forge Skill depending on his equipped action skill. Forge skills can be activated by pressing and holding the action skill button. So Molten Slam is the Onslaughter, Firewall is the Scourge, and Double Edge is the Crucible. So honestly, this is probably one of the best skill trees that I have seen yet in the Vault Hunter series. So this is probably going to be the character that I'm going to be playing when the game first comes out. He has the best abilities, and the things that he can do is, honestly, in my opinion, endless. So check it out. Tell me what you guys think. And so the first skill tree that we're going to talk about with Amon is Crucible, forged in fire and frost. So what this is that you have 3 abilities: fire, lightning, and frost, which you could deal all those damage. You could freeze your enemies. You could do incendiary damage and lightning. So as with these abilities, you could dual wield hammers, axes, and swords. On every skill tree, there's 3 branches. In each one of those branches, they have a capstone, which is a special ability that they have. So on one of them, we're going to talk about Snowball. Press and hold the action skill to throw a twinned forge hammer, dealing Pyro damage to nearby enemies on impact that ricochets between nearby enemies up to 3 times. If no ricochet targets are found, it deals damage an additional time before destroying itself. For each detonation caused, it ricochets additional time. The next capstone we're going to talk about is Storm Surge. So with Storm Surge, you press and hold the action skill to throw a twinned Forge Blade, dealing shock melee damage in an area on impact. Storm Surge creates a Forge Storm on impact for a duration, dealing shock status effect damage over time. Now the last one we're going to talk about is Conflangerang. Not going to lie guys, if I said that wrong, please tell me in the comments below, because I don't think I did. But anyways, it deals incendiary melee damage in both directions, gains increased radius, and leaves a trail of fire as it travels if close enough to the ground, dealing incendiary damage over time. Causing a detonation or damaging an enemy with Conflangerang will restore Forge skill cooldown. The next one we're going to talk about is Scourge, Vengeance skill tree. So on this one, Amon equips a Forge Shield that absorbs all frontal damage as Vengeance. Whenever the Vengeance meter is filled, Forge Shield provides damage reduction instead. Vengeance drains rapidly if it has not been gained recently. Press the action skill to launch a Forge Wave, dealing Pyro ordnance damage to enemies it passes through, consuming Vengeance to increase damage dealt. So now let's talk about Branch 1 Capstone. It's called Ring of Frostfire. Firewall is now a ring that deals incendiary status effect damage to enemies inside of it, and Pyro damage to enemies who enter or leave. Firewall grants friendly projectiles that pass through it, further increase damage and projectile speed. Branch 2 Capstone is going to be Glacial Rapture. Firewall is now a Glacial Rapture. Press and hold the action skill to swing Forge Whips, dealing Pyro ordnance damage over 2 hits to nearby enemies before slamming into the ground, creating a Pyro Fissure that deals Pyro ordnance damage and leaves Pyro hazards for duration. Branch 3 Capstone is Wrathfall. Firewall is now Wrathfall. Press and hold action skill to call down a massive Forged Sword to strike an enemy, dealing shock ordnance damage to enemies in the area. Wrathfall always critically hits. The last skill tree that we're going to talk about is called Onslaughter. So Amon overloads his Forge Fist, gaining consistent shield regeneration, bonus incendiary damage with guns, and increased movement speed. Press action skill or melee or rocket punch, dashing to target enemy, dealing incendiary melee attack damage in a short range cone and causing stagger. Bosses cannot be staggered, and badasses have a chance to be staggered. So on this skill tree, the branch 1 capstone is going to be Horde Cleave. Molten Slam is now Horde Cleave. Press and hold the action skill to swing a massive Forge Axe, launching a Forge Wave that deals Kyro melee damage and freezes enemies it passes through. Enemies killed by Horde Cleave causes a detonation, dealing Kyro damage. So the branch 2 capstone is going to be Molten Royal. Molten Slam gains increased radius and stores damage. Pyrus erupt under up to 3 enemies after delay. Pyrus deals additional incendiary melee damage based on damage stored by Molten Slam, distributed among the remaining targets. The branch 3 capstone is going to be Storm Cutter. Molten Slam is now Storm Cutter. Press and hold action skill to swing a massive forged sword, launching a Forge Wave that deals shock melee damage to all enemies it passes through. Restore action skill cooldown, action skill duration, and ordnance cooldown for each enemy hit. Alright, well that's going to be it for all 3 skill trees for Amon. Let me know in the comments below of which ones that you like the most and which ones that you think is going to be the best for this build for him. And are you guys going to play him when he first comes out? I'm kind of curious. Let me know in the comments, and see you guys next time.